There is a cool breeze out on the patio, and after the heat of the afternoon, Mr. Armstrong and his sons find it wonderfully relaxing. Watching them, this is a scene you could do in thousands of homes all over the country, and yet we are actually watching a scene at the bottom of a sea. It is, of course, a sea of air. We cannot see air or taste it. We can only feel it when it blows upon us. Yet it is so important to us that we cannot live without air. Joey and Eddie, however, are busy thinking about something else. Have you ever seen a more beautiful moon? To Joey and Eddie, seated comfortably at home, the moon is a world of wonderful possibilities. Joey and Eddie have been reading about the moon. They're both secretly dreaming, in fact, of someday visiting this satellite of the Earth. A visit to the moon might be an exciting adventure. Yes, the boys have heard about the craters on the moon. Here they are on the photographs. And if you look real hard, you can see the faint dark places on the moon itself. It is these dark places that people see when they talk about the man on the moon. But are they really craters, or are they valleys or mountains? Joey is sure that it would be wonderful to be able to visit the moon and find out. But Eddie does not seem so sure. After all, things might be very different than they are here on Earth. Eddie has a great idea. Why not find out? Why not take a trip to the moon and see for ourselves? Oh, not a real trip, naturally. Why don't we all go along with them for an imaginary trip through space to visit the moon and find out what it is really like? Ready? Pressure locks fastened. Oxygen tanks working. Remember, there is no air in space. Then blast off for our visit to the moon. Start countdown. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Blast off. We made it. Everyone all right? Now for our first look at the moon. It looks so cold, so strange, so lifeless. For the moon is a world without life, a world without air. Better make sure the space helmets are secure. Now turn on the oxygen and look around. Somehow, it is even stranger than we pictured. Listen. There is not a single sound. No traffic noises. No birds. No wind in the trees. Not even a tree. Remember, sound cannot travel on the moon. Without radio, you cannot even hear yourself. As you know, there is no air on the moon, and sound waves need air to carry them. No air, no sound waves, no sound. What did you say, Eddie? Yes, we're ready to explore. But that certainly looks like a long way to walk. Well, maybe we can use a jeep. Lucky for us, this is an imaginary voyage. One jeep coming up. All aboard? Mr. Armstrong, you drive. But what seems to be wrong? The Jeep will not start. That Jeep, you see, gets its power from what we call an internal combustion engine. It is powered by the combustion or explosion of gasoline vapor, a mixture of gasoline and air. mixing is done right here, in the carburetor. Without air, the gasoline cannot be vaporized and the engine cannot start. Well, it looks like the Jeep is useless here on the moon. But we still do want to explore. How about a helicopter? The helicopter gets its power from the same type of motor, which we now know is worthless on the moon. But even with a motor that did not need air, the helicopter on the moon would never get off the ground. The blades of the helicopter lift it through the air by their whirling motion in the air. The blades are tilted to bite into the air, forcing the air downward. As the motor turns the blades, the helicopter rises, much the same way as the turns of a screw force it deeper and deeper into a block of wood. Sorry, boys, but our exploring will have to be done on foot after all. But how about a little lunch before we start? What'll it be, boys? Steaks? Weenies? That sounds great. A real picnic. But what seems to be the trouble? Are the matches wet? What could have happened to them? Uh-oh. Looks like you've forgotten about air again. Without air, there can be no fire and no burning. Lucky we have some emergency rations. And after all, cold sandwiches are better than nothing. And at least you did remember to bring the soda pop along. Hold it now. This is a problem. You cannot eat or drink with the helmets in place. And we all know what would happen if the helmets are removed. Without the supply of air and the air pressure in the suits, life would be impossible. Careful there, Mr. Armstrong. Remember, no air means no air pressure. And that means that the pressure of the gas in the soda is too strong to remain in the open can. Well, there seems to be a little left. Better drink it before something else happens. Even though we never have to worry about pressure suits here on Earth, air pressure is important to us every day of our life. Without air pressure, Eddie could not pump up his football. And that is just one use of air pressure. Air pressure can be so powerful that it will break up concrete. That drill actually gets its force from air pressure. Air pressure also supplies the power for that paint sprayer. We drive on tires that are filled with air pressure, and the gauge proves that air actually does have weight and pressure. Air, you see, is made up of tiny invisible particles called molecules. Now, when air is compressed, more air is forced into the same space. So the more air we have, the more molecules, and therefore the more pressure. Without air, for example, there can be no clouds, no winds, and no weather. Without air, without weather, the temperature extremes would be unendurable. In the sun, the heat rays unfiltered by the atmosphere would make life impossible. Then just one step into full shade, and the cold would be so unbelievably intense. Without air pressure, the air blanket that surrounds the Earth, life as we know it would be impossible. It is this invisible blanket that controls the amount of heat we absorb from the sun and the amount we lose after the sun sets. Yes, air and air pressure are so important to life as we know it that it is almost impossible to imagine life without air. But now we had better hurry. The position of the moon and the Earth are ideal for the return trip. Stand by. Start countdown. 4, 3, 2, 1. We're heading back home. Back to Earth. Back to the world of air.